Hello, this is BJ from Hearns Hobbies, and I have Andy from... Where are you from?
I'm from GP3D.
There you go.
Hello.
And we've met you before, haven't we?
Yes, yep. A few times now.
Yeah. So we've talked about, you had the very original 3D printed Grand Prix car.
Grand Prix car, yeah.
And you've since made the very original reproduction of Masami's 1989 RC10, which is, what is it, the RC10GX, is it?
GX, they call it, yeah. So based on the RC10 graphite,
Yep.
and then the X for the, I don't know, X Factor.
Oh, yes.
Stealth, prototype
Yes,
car that they used at that 89 Worlds.
Yes. It's done a really good job. And it's available now. You already got this in production.
Yes, well and truly in production. We've got almost 100 sales, so
Wow.
wonder who's going to be the lucky number 100.
Excellent.
Be coming up soon, and
Yep.
yeah, we're churning them out and shipping them. So we're trying to catch up with the shipping. It's up to about almost 60.
Wow. Okay.
So the
Yeah, you
new
can
batch of carbon just landed today.
Yes.
In fact,
Wow.
and yeah, that'll be the number 61 through to whatever 120,
Yeah, cool.
or at least.
Yes. Good. Okay, well, this is a car that, if you've watched our painting video, this is the body that we painted up in that crazy evening we spent here.
Yep. Good paint fumes.
That's right. And since then,
Yep.
your car's been driven quite a bit, so
Yeah, it's been driven this much.
that much.
Yep.
There's quite a bit of
For the damage.
wear on there, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the body's survived pretty well. We've done, I think it's about 6 or 7 race meets, including the vintage bash.
Yep.
And a bit of testing.
Hmm.
And yeah, so this is how it is right now after all that racing.
So what do we normally do after racing? So after all that racing, we're going to give it a bit of a look over, aren't we?
Yep.
Yeah.
We're going to so pull it apart as if we were doing routine maintenance and checking all the parts, seeing what's how it's worn, if there's any breaks or cracks in any of the parts, and with the focus of cleaning it up and rebuilding it ready for the next race.
Okay, cool. Okay, where shall we start?
Good question. I've unsoldered the motor.
Okay, yes.
And so I got that ready, but otherwise it is as it came off the track from the last Kilor Club Day, the Christmas breakup,
Yep.
where somebody was driving his frog,
The Mighty Frog.
Mighty Frog.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's come off the track since then, and it's changed not much in the sort of like over the sort of development and testing cycle of the last what's that, six months or so, since it was pretty much in its final form for the parts.
Yep.
There's a few little parts that I've been testing, sort of prototype parts, such as the steering bell cranks.
So these are the beefier ones.
Yeah,
Yep.
so they're mimicked. They're sort of replicating the originals, which
Yep.
I've got the original ones here, which I just pulled off prior to the last race meeting to test out these new ones.
Yep. Well, I guess there's two sides of building a replica, right? So there's the side where you want to make a race queen,
A race queen.
shelf queen.
Cool. Sounds interesting.
If you've got race queens there, it just makes it better. But the shell queen, so you've got a shell queen here
So
as well.
it's a shell
So
queen,
this is
yeah.
a shell queen. This is a full replica of the one that was actually run in 1989, down to the mic heads in it. Or the one that we've got here, this is the one that Andy's actually racing and using
Yes.
around the tracks. So
Yep.
sometimes you might want to go a bit beefier. So hence why there's a beefy version of the wheel cranks here.
Yeah, so we've really focused on the replica side of things to start with, of course, to make it as accurate as possible. And recently I've focused a little bit more on the racing side to make it, I guess, more raceable. It seemed to be pretty good as it was, but improving some of the parts, making it a little bit stronger, but still
Yes.
keeping the same essence of the originals.
Yeah.
As well as potentially some tuning parts, such as some different lead weights, or weights, maybe not lead, but different weights that I've made. So I can show you those later. So yeah, it's a bit of focus on sort of raceability and also providing some options for people in terms of if they've got different length drive shafts or different gearboxes and gears.
Yes.
So looking towards providing a few options for them as well. So we know that a lot of these parts are getting scarce and expensive to find. So yeah, looking towards a few other options there as well.
That's great.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, so like for example, originals, which I had been using actually. These are very original bell crank parts.
Yes.
The old white plastic, which look extremely brittle, but surprisingly, they've survived. Well, they survived my driving. They were pretty much cracked even before I started using them around some of the bolt holes, and I just super glued it up.
So that original design was meant to be a servo saver. So if you wanted to be really pro, you put the cable ties around it and locked it up.
Yeah, I've got these super pro cable tie technology, and that would stop it from flexing too much, which I think for racing most of the guys did or started to do.
Yeah.
And even though they look very skinny and flimsy, they didn't break.
Yep. So they're nylon, right?
They're
pure nylon.
Sort of nylon, yeah.
Yep.
It's quite a harder nylon than the original, arms and battery cups and all those original nylon parts.
Okay.
Yeah, it's slightly different material. Not sure exactly what it was.
Okay.
So yeah, they've survived up until now. They're also very hard to get, and they do crack and are probably getting a bit brittle after 30 years.
Yeah, I guess they are getting old, yeah.
So, so created some
you've got
belt cranks that look kind of similar, but they're a bit stronger and a bit more beefy.
Yes.
And, good for racing, and obviously easy to make and can sell, so people can get them no problem.
Okay, so I can see that here with the servo saver part of it, it's all one piece now.
Yes.
With the traditional retro look.
Yes, designed it all in one chunk, which makes it stronger and as well as a bit easier to print.
Yep.
And don't need the servo saver, of course, with the servos we have these days. So we have these parts. There's one of them.
Oh, it looks really nice. So that's in
got some dirt on it.
That's in that retro coloured.
Yeah.
Strong. What is it? Nylon.
It's PC polycarbonate.
PC.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it's a polycarbonate based plastic, modified a bit in compared to like the body shell polycarbonates, I believe. So that can be 3D printed.
Yep.
But it had that perfect colour, which we discovered for matching the associated nylon, which was pretty incredible. So so all of the suspension arms and the rear bulkhead and the battery cups and a few other parts are printed using this. So there's 4 colours in this material. So there's black, the grey, which is on that car at the moment.
Yes.
This natural colour, of course, and there's also a nice bright orange.
Bright orange, just like your shirt.
Yeah, it'll match perfectly. So if you want the whole orange look, we can do that as well.
Right.
Yeah. But so they're the 4 colours that this material comes in, which is pretty cool. But this is the good associated ones. So
so as we pull this down, we're going to be putting those on, are we?
Yeah, we might put those on. We've got some other parts which are bagged up, not exactly as per the kit, but all the similar parts that come in our conversion kit.
Yes, okay.
So I've got a bunch of those here ready to go.
Yep.
I've left them raw, basically, as I provide them in the kit.
Okay.
So we can go through a little bit of the drilling and the cutting off of the brim.
Okay.
As everyone would need to do that have bought the kit and building it. So so got those ready
okay.
there.
Cool. All right.
So let's rip it apart.
I might park this
baby
back over here.
Yep.
The shelf queen, race queen, that I called it.
The race shelf queen king.
Yes.
Yes. Cool. So let's start ripping this apart. So we'll pull the wheels off and the wing and stuff.
Yep.
Rip that one off, please.
Yep.
And there'll be a little pin that will fall out.
So what are the wheels and tyres you're using for this for racing?
Yeah, so I've tried to use the replica Yokomo ones.
Yeah, so they're the 2 screw type onto the hub.
So they've got the little adapter, like the Yokomo style TH1 adapter.
Yes.
And the 2 screws there that hold the rim onto the adapter.
Yep.
I'll grab the pin and the washers. So I've been trying to use those as much as possible for racing, but I ran out. Got some more on the way, but have had to resort to some other rims that were lying around.
Yep.
To glue up some more tyres.
So I guess you've got enough options that you've been playing with to be able to adapt pretty much anything to go racing with now.
Yes, so the actual TH1 adapters I've made, can I chuck those in there?
Yep.
I've made a quarter inch and a 3/16 options.
Okay.
So the original stub axles were 3/16.
Yep.
And the original stub axles were a quarter. And then later on they did the universals that were 3/16.
Right.
So I did both. And the No Coast company, which we've collaborated with a little bit,
yep,
or starting to collaborate with, have those adapters in quarter and 3/16 in aluminium.
Okay.
as well. So I provide the plastic printed ones in the kit, which is what I've been using so far.
And so anyone who wants to option it up, they can always get those.
And aluminium's would be a bit stronger. It's quite a good solid shape, so that it works pretty well in the plastic. But they will probably crack after a long time. In enough crashes.
Okay.
So so got alloy options. The alloy options don't capture those little pins though, so you have to use the split pin style, which jam sort of into the axle.
Yes.
Whereas these ones, like the world's came with just normal solid pins. That,
just slide in and out.
Yeah, you need to capture them. So the rims, the replica rims capture it. And so do my little hubs.
Okay.
Cool. Okay, so what have we got? Let's rip off the rest of the tires.
I like your car stand.
Yeah, it's pretty high tech. Well, I've got really cool car stands, and they're all about 20 mil high for 12 scale cars.
Right.
And you put it under the car, and it doesn't even touch the car. So it's genius. So I've got to
do a bit of a mod.
I've got to do an off-road version.
Right.
I think to make it actually usable.
I'll pop that over there.
Oh, the car stand's not working now.
Oh, the classic wheel and tyre car stand.
Yeah.
We've all done that.
Yeah. I found the spool, the inner of the spool from the 3D printing spools. I used them as car stands a bit early on as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, didn't work very well.
Oh, all right.
Well, held up, but it kind of slides around.
Oh, okay. So I guess we'll try anything, when you're in desperation.
Yes.
Okay, so we've got the car here. It's looking a bit naked now.
The car?
Yeah, the car is, not me.
Yep.
Not you.
Okay, cool. How about this? Look at this.
Oh.
Oh, check this out.
All right.
There you go. So the wheels are off. It works.
Oh.
Beautifully.
Well, there you go. Bit classy, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so all the wheels are off.
Yep, so let's take the top deck off. So I've just unsoldered that to make it easier for this session.
Yes.
And we've got our lovely Imperial drivers.
Yep.
And we'll take the top deck off.
So in your kit, do you include standoffs? You have to get the standoffs.
These little front standoffs.
Yep.
Which are little posts.
Yep.
So they're from No Coast as well.
Okay.
So they do that. Yeah, they did them originally for the 91 car.
Right.
Such as the Nix 91.
Yep.
And that uses 4 of them. But this car only used 2 at the front.
Right.
And then the rear standoffs were... I'm pretty sure that might have been an original 12 scale motor pod plate.
Oh, okay.
Is my guess.
Yeah. They've got that sort of look, don't they? Yes.
They do when they're painted silver.
Yeah, all right.
So the shape's sort of like the opening for the motor, and I think they just cut them in half.
Right.
So that maybe the slots for the motor is on the other half.
Yep.
Or it might have been the right hand side or the left hand side of the car.
Yes.
Without the motor screws in them.
Okay.
But yeah, they looked something like that, I thought. Really guessing.
It's part of the charm of this particular design too, because these are factory works cars, and they're basically using whatever's hanging around.
Yeah, they were hand built, hand created.
Yep.
A lot of the gearbox that we'll get to, I think the gearbox casing was made out of sort of hand carved or hand dremeled nylon, I believe.
Yep. I guess these days I would just go out and 3D print stuff like this and give it a go.
Yeah, it's perfect. I really don't know how those manufacturers did it all back then. The process was a lot more, I guess, involved or onerous and longer lead times if you're committing to machining and long batches or big batches of vacuum formed items.
So whittling away a piece of balsa to make your prototype.
Yeah, so for a prototype you can't do that, of course, because it would cost many thousands to get a mould made, so you can't do that until you're absolutely signed off on the design.
That's right.
And if you've made a mistake or something, it's bad luck.
Yep.
So 3D printing's obviously revolutionised the prototyping world in everything, not just RC. Yes. And then crazy people like us actually use it for the final product as well, which has become a lot more viable recently with the better and stronger materials. Yes. And
I remember years ago going to one of the Japanese hobby fairs. Would have been a Tokyo Hobby Fair, I think. And in the Tamiya stand, they had the TT02 or something, and they had the adjustable camber front arm, because those cheaper cars were fixed length, right? Yep. So they were 2-piece, and they were rapid produced. It looked like some sort of plastic sintered system. That would have been 20 years ago at least.
Yeah, it would be at the forefront.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so your sensor wire's coming off.
Coming out. And got this special technology cable tie to hold it there.
The loose
That's
cable tie?
Scale replica cable tie.
Excellent.
Yes.
Okay, so you undone all the top plate screws.
No less, let's pop the battery out as well.
Yep.
Literally came off the track like this.
Okay.
I've got a little weight thing here actually.
Oh!
Feel that?
Oh! I reckon that's 60 grams.
That almost made a hole in the table. Do you reckon it's 60? How do you know it's 60?
Oh. Well, it says 60 there, and then you've got extras in there too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a bit tricky, isn't it?
Freeloaders. Yeah.
Are they 5 grams each, these ones?
They are. Yep.
One,
How many is there?
2, 3. I've got to feel it.
Forgotten. Yeah. 3 or 4
6?
stacks. Ah.
6 in there.
Yeah, 3 and 3.
So
yep.
30?
Yep.
So that's 90 grams.
Yeah.
Wow. And this is that steel.
It's steel
impregnated.
Steel fill they call it.
Okay.
And it's basically little steel fibers.
Right.
Yeah, impregnated into the plastic.
Wow.
Similar to the graphite and
Solid.
fiberglass impregnated, and it's just using steel. They also do a wood fill one, which is pretty funky.
Wood fill.
Wood fill. It's got little wood fibers instead of steel.
Right.
Yeah. As you print it,
Yeah.
it smells like cutting wood.
All right. Now, what would you do with that? It would be easy
Wooden
to
trestles.
Wooden trestles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for Grand Prix cars.
Wait, have you done that already?
I did.
Oh.
Yeah.
Right.
They're pretty
So that
popular,
explains it. So
Yeah.
that's pretty clever.
Yeah. What else you do? I'm not sure, but yes.
I imagine a wood fill
Yeah.
plastic would be easy to carve.
You can sand it actually. It
Yeah.
sort of it looks and feels and sands a bit like wood,
Right.
because it is actual wood fibers.
Yes.
So
Okay.
it does have the characteristics, not just the feel.
Have you tried sanding something like this?
Yes. Yeah, I printed I've got some little nose block here.
Right. Okay.
So testing out the nose blocks, and
Yep.
when I printed this one, I didn't have the settings very. Actually, it'll pop out now. Didn't have the settings done very well.
Oh, okay.
And it
Yep.
sort of had a bit of a nasty texture on the side,
Yes.
so I just sanded it back. So
Okay.
that's pretty much the surface that's flat printed on
Yes.
the bed, and the rest of it's the sanding. So
Okay.
it sort
Cool.
of sands. It doesn't look beautiful, but it can be sanded.
It's pretty clever how you've got this weight system. So you're going to be making these available as well?
I think so. Yeah. Once I sort out my print settings, because I printed some of that stuff ages ago,
Right.
and it was beautiful. And
Okay.
then I went to print another lot, and it was terrible. So
Right. Okay.
something
changed. Right.
Yeah, so I'll sort
Okay.
that out. But yeah, I was thinking to make them available so people can tune. Because
Well,
those nose ones, I did like a 5, 10, 15, 20
Yes.
different amounts of material,
Yep.
and they sort of lock into the nose here under the top deck.
So you just undo the 4 fronts
just
and
just the 2 fronts.
Oh,
is enough,
okay,
actually,
that's
yeah.
enough.
Just
Okay.
you can just sort of bend it up a fraction.
Right.
Yep, pop it in, and
Yep.
then it's like a bit of a wedge, like a countersunk screw
Yep.
theory.
Yep.
And it pops in there, and
Okay.
then you bolt it back down, and it locks it in.
Okay.
And
Oh,
so
good.
you can tune the front weight balance.
Okay, so nice. So that's not really
Not scale.
retro, is it?
No.
So this is a new
think-
thing to make it handle while you're
Yeah.
racing in.
I think retro they
vintage class.
would have got a bit of chunk of lead or a 20-cent coin or something and double-sided taped it.
Yes, that's right.
So this is the modern version, which is all shaped. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay, so we've got your top plate undone.
Top plate undone. I made a little plastic plate here for the receiver and the transponder to sit on.
Okay, clever.
So
How does that fit into place?
screws on
Oh, okay.
through one of the existing chassis holes.
Yes. And then it just
Yep. And
rests in place next to the battery mount.
sits there. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I made it so sort of locks to the battery mount there, so it doesn't
Yes.
twist around.
Okay.
And yeah, just one screw holding it.
Yep.
So you can pop that in and out if you need to,
Yep, nice.
especially for maintenance. So you're not like pulling double-sided tape off
No, that's right.
and redoing that
Yes.
as often. So it's just
Yep.
slightly more convenient.
Yeah, nice. Okay, so we've got the speed controller, that's all attached to the top plate.
Yep.
So basically you'll be
Over
able to
there.
just unplug that, and then that's a separate entity.
What have we got?
Oh,
Yes,
there we go.
There we go. It's unplugged.
Okay, so there's a top plate with a speed controller.
Yep. Got the little scale plate as per the original.
Yep.
I think they used the what's that, white polystyrene type sheets
Yep.
originally,
Yep.
and just hand cut. So I've recreated those as actual printed parts that come in the kit as well, and made them deliberately slightly non-symmetrical
Mm-hmm.
because the original one looked non-symmetrical.
Okay.
Originally, I was going to do this just as a template to use to cut out from the styrene sheet.
Yep.
And I found that it's just PET G material.
Yep.
So it has a little bit of strength and good flex.
Okay.
So you can bend
that
it up.
works fine. Yep.
And it worked fine as it is. So I was like,
Okay.
oh great, we'll just print them.
Yeah, why not?
So that was awesome. Yeah, saved a lot of messing around and tracing and cutting.
Yeah, hand cutting.
manually.
Yeah, that's
especially
pain.
for producing 100.
Mm.
Obviously, I'm not going to do that. So
Okay.
So that
Well,
worked
that makes it easier. So top plate straight off.
Yes, that
Stick
comes
that
off.
over here.
What's I forgot? Let's rip the shocks off. I have got a driver, but let's use the original associated one.
Yep.
So these shocks are not originals. These were from my World's re car.
So these have got the threaded bodies.
Threaded bodies, slightly different top plastic caps with
Yep.
the bleeder screw that the originals didn't.
Yes.
And I gave these a run in the last club day. Just had a different spring and different oil,
Yes.
just to try some tuning options.
Yep.
But I want to try and use the originals most of the time
Yep. Okay.
because they look cool.
Well, I guess everyone's going to be in a slightly different situation, aren't they? Some people might have these just floating around.
Yeah, I think a lot of people for racing will use other ones,
Yep.
more modern or other various aftermarket ones, especially the threaded bodies. Is people would prefer them. I think generally. I actually prefer the clips
Oh, yeah.
for the spring retainers.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Just because you can't really get it wrong left to right. You put the same clips in each side and you're good.
Yes.
Whereas with these, I mean, it's probably a silly difference, but with these, obviously, you've got to measure them and make sure they don't unwind themselves. So
Well, I guess the
rechecking.
threading is meant to be infinite adjustment, isn't it?
Yeah, more fine tuning.
Yeah.
If I need more fine than a millimetre, then I'll start worrying about them.
Fair enough.
But at the moment, yeah.
But that used to be a real selling point.
yeah,
you know?
it's like the new thing.
That's right.
And probably is better.
Threaded bodies, yeah.
Yeah. And we all use it in the touring cars, of course.
Yes.
Well, I don't anymore. It's
been a while, hasn't it?
Out of there, yes. Had just recorded a podcast with Scotty.
Oh, I heard about that.
Yeah.
I haven't heard it as is, but yeah.
Yeah, so I think he posted the first part. As usual, I talk too much,
But yeah,
and we had to split into two parts.
Oh, good.
So which was pretty cool.
nice.
So yeah, that was awesome fun with Scotty again. Yeah, hadn't seen him for a long time either.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he put it live last night. Or
What's Scotty's podcast?
Oh,
What's it called again?
it's ACR. Wait a minute. ARC.
Is it?
Australian Racing AR something? I should know this. We can look it up.
How do you find it?
Let's look it up. Search on the Vintage Bash website. He just posted it there, I saw.
On the chat group.
Yeah, chat group.
Vintage Bash. How do you spell that?
What, Bash or?
Oh, I know how to bash. So, here he is.
Okay, Scotty Guide. There it is.
So that's the
Was it
link.
Action RC? ARC. I was wrong.
Action RC. Okay.
I know that now.
I've never gotten
I'll never
into
forget it.
podcasts. So I don't really
Me
know how to
neither.
find them.
Me neither.
So you go to this.
Yeah.
So this is Anchor by Spotify.
And yeah, that's like the platform to
share
upload.
them.
So he uses that as his his platform to post them and publish them.
Yep.
And yeah, you literally go to the link and it'll just start playing.
Okay. Well, this is what we've got so far. So there's Action RC, and that's by Scott Guyett, and it looks like he's got 20 episodes available there at the moment of various things.
There was a whole series a couple of years ago.
Yep.
And then he's just restarted them again
Okay. Cool.
with the Vintage Bash one the other day with
Nice.
TFG and Lou and Aaron.
Okay. Cool.
And then we had Robin Schumacher on.
Oh, did he?
Yep, the second
Right.
one. Yeah,
Okay.
that was pretty cool.
Nice.
And then I have to follow that.
Seen a few people playing around with their Pro Cats.
Oh, nice. Yeah, pretty cool with all the re-re's coming out now.
Yeah, it's nice. Okay, so we've got the shocks
Got the
off.
shocks off. Yep, not going to go through the shocks, of course, because they're
No.
shocks.
Yep.
And there's heaps of people that know a lot more about them than me.
Yep. Okay, so we've got
So-
the top plate off.
Yeah.
We've got pretty much
what's
access
next?
to everything now, haven't we?
Yeah. Let's get stuck into the rear end. What do you reckon? Or do you want to start with the front?
Rear end. All right, rear end it is.
Rear end?
I love rear ends.
Oh,
All right, so what do we do here? So this is just a number. What, you take it off from the bottom?
it's a good question. It's been a while. So I'll probably go get the sort of motor out a bit first.
Yep.
And the sort of pod off the motor plate off the rear chassis plate.
Yep.
And then a bit of the top brace as well, and then we can take the whole gearbox out, and then we can get to the sort of bulkhead and the suspension arms.
So there's those big alloy screws, big chunky ones there.
Yep, so they're the 832nd size,
yep.
Same as the originals of course, and then the 440 size. And you can see here, just a note for fun, is the gearbox bolts
yep.
are symmetrical in terms of how far they are away from the centre line.
Right.
At the back and the front, they're the same sort of distance.
Yep.
And a lot of people know that the Stealth gearbox, when it came out, the rear holes were just a little bit further inwards, so they were closer together.
Oh. Were they?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's an interesting little tidbit, isn't it?
Oh, I didn't know that. I learned something new.
Yeah. So with this actual gear casing, I've done the gear casing with the other inner holes as well.
Oh, I see.
So that they were far enough away that I could have both holes at the same time.
Okay.
So you can actually use this like GX replica gearbox on any associated car that's drilled for Stealth gearboxes.
Okay. Right. Okay.
Yeah, and the gearbox is the casing's come up pretty well because it makes the gears run a fraction looser than the originals. As also the rear gearboxes were a bit inconsistent. They made the mesh a bit too tight.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so these work really well on just any like world's re car or any RC10 that's previously got a Stealth box. But the original Stealth casings were very good.
Yes.
The re-release ones were maybe not as consistent.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Cool. So let's start pulling
So
this.
there's a top brace.
Yep, got a top brace.
Yep.
I printed these as well. Originally, I bought, paid probably too much money and bought ones for myself originally.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realised once this material came out, it opened up a whole range of opportunities to just print original replica parts as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like the body post, for example. Front and rear body posts and this little plate.
Well, it makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, if you're going to be driving this a lot,
yeah,
you probably don't want to be using...
You don't want to wear out and break parts
right.
that you either can't get or are expensive.
Yes.
So the rear uprights you'll see here while I'm pulling this apart are a grey colour, these ones.
Yes.
So I just tried printing them. So same material, just the grey colour.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't waste any of my good...
No, that's fair.
Nylon colour for the production kits.
Yep.
And I've done a couple of different versions of these for myself to start with, that might make them available if people need them, to just cater for different length CBDs.
Yep.
Because I was having trouble with the World CBDs that were fractions short.
Oh, okay.
And they were popping out with a good
you
good
don't
crash.
want anything popping out.
No. So it comes to a very motionless, still position when they pop out.
Yeah, a bit of frustration, eh?
Yeah, and there goes the race. So that's no good. So it's an original gear cover, which I might not continue to use. I might use an aftermarket one and keep that for this guy.
Yep, okay.
Cool, what else we got here? Let's take off
So there's plenty of this sort of aftermarket stuff around, right? There's third parties. It seems to have really grown in the last couple of years.
Yeah, definitely.
So there's a lot of... It's not so different from when the Tamiya's were being raced and stuff, like up to the Frog era, even before that, with the Super Champ. There are all these oddball companies making all sorts of things.
Like
aluminium Nerf bars and big shocks for frogs and...
Awesome.
Oh, I don't know why there's a particular brand that comes to mind. UG.
UG.
I used to always see it. Y-U and a G.
No,
Yug.
UG. Oh.
UG.
UG.
Like U
I think I've
and
seen
G.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know. I think it was a Japanese company. I don't know. But I'm sure there were plenty of others as well. And it's got that vibe again.
Yeah, like J Concepts, for example. I think they're doing quite a few parts. They've done some aftermarket motor plates.
Right.
They look quite different. So they're sort of milled out with little hex shapes, maybe even anodized blue or black, I think.
Right.
So, it's sort of a different like cut-off shape at the back that a lot of guys used to manually do to their cars. And so that's one little example. He's done a few different parts. It's definitely flavour of the month, hopefully more than just a month, with those sort of parts for sure.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And I mean, considering like RC10s have been around for a very long time, and they use a very similar ethic amongst all the designs, so all those bits are still around, which is really good.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I've just been playing with a B6.2 gearbox, I think it is, and also a B or a T or a B2 or 3. Not sure which it is. I think it's a B2.
Yep.
I think the same gearbox might have been used in the T2 as well, the truck.
Okay.
So I've been playing with those just recently. Gary sent me down a B6.2 and grabbed a B2 gearbox from Aaron. And I'm going to try and make, well, I have. I'm making alternate cases that'll take those gears as well. So give people options for those.
Yep.
So they don't have to.
Is there much difference?
Find the original stealth. The B6.2, it's quite different. So it's got the very large diff gear. Okay. Which is a 2.6 ratio, I believe. Right. And the idler and the top shaft gears are the same. Okay. Or close enough to being the same. Okay. All of the bearings and the screws and those are now gone to metric. And the slipper on the B6.2, the standard slipper, actually stuck out this left-hand side. Right. Okay. So there is actually a hole there, and
so that's what the double side tape.
Yeah, double side tape stops the stops the gunk getting in. Yep. That was scale, of course. Yes. Yep. I think Masami obviously, but I think most of the drivers. I'm pretty sure myself. I used to do that as well, which I'm sure I saw in the magazine to copy. Yep. Okay. Cool. Yeah, so it sort of sticks out this side, and the slipper plates are on the right hand side. Okay. And it's got quite an offset bearing position on this right hand top side, which will probably not fit through the standard plate and need a little bit of dremeling out. Right. So that one was quite a challenge. So I had to move the diff forward and down. Okay. So it actually needs a scallop dremeled out of the chassis. Right. And it needs a slightly different rear shock tower, which I've done, which has the scallop out of it as well. And then the front of the gearbox is open. Yep. And the bottom is completely open. Yep. And I've got a little ridge that locks into the bulkhead. Okay. So from the outside it'll look similar. So it keys together? Yeah, kind of keys together. Okay. Because then there's not too much holding it. Otherwise, you've still got the same 4 bolts in the bottom. Yes. But otherwise, it's all open there at the front. So I had to move that because you got the motor mount positions, the 3 motor bolts. Yes. Which you can't see under the spur, but the 3 motor bolts, which is not this one, but the other 3. Yep, those 3. Yeah, they can't move. So that's like a constraint, and then you got to move all the gears around with inside them. Okay. So just tweaked and shifted little bits and pieces to try and shoehorn it in. Yep. So it did just work. Okay. So I haven't tested on the track yet, but it's ready to go next time out. Oh, nice. Okay. Yep. And then the B2 gearbox is, I think it's about 2.4 ratio. The spur gear is bigger than the stealth. The diff gear is bigger than the stealth, but not as big as the B6.2. Okay. So that's going to fit in a bit easier, but it'll still be similar. So the idler gear on that was a lot bigger. Right. So that's actually the problem in the B2. Okay. So that's got to slide back and downwards, and then the diff has to go forwards and down as well. Yep. And then had the same idea with the bulkhead scalloped out. Okay. And maybe get away with not having to dremel out the chassis for that one. Yeah. So the inside's tweaked substantially, and the outside it'll look basically the same, or very similar. So never stopping with the considerations for options. Yeah. Trying to make this as accessible as possible. That's it. Let's pull the. More room here. Gearbox apart. Okay. Can we see this? Okay. Yeah. Okay. So it might be a little bit awkward for you to sort of get your fingers in there. Let's see if I go. Alright, so I'm just taking the slipper apart. Tension screws, your big. Take all that off. Yep. Yeah, so it's just all the standard original stealth slipper parts with a little. Yep. The thrusty. Thrust bearing. Yep. We'll put those bits so we don't lose them all. Got some drills there for later on. Drill. Let's chuck all those extremely hard to find pieces over there. So has this been cleaned? It hasn't been cleaned since the last run, right? It hasn't been cleaned for about 6 race meetings. Oh. As in the outside, yes. Well, it hasn't got a lot of stuff then, is it? Like there's a little bit of debris. It's pretty good, like obviously brushed off the outside a bit. I haven't taken it apart since, when would that have been? August, maybe? Yep. Okay. So August was mostly the final form of all the parts. And I've only replaced parts that I've made modifications to. Yep. I'm having a lot of trouble with Imperial drivers. Remember, gold is like bigger than silver.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. It's like gold
Oh,
first,
really?
silver second,
Oh,
so now
right.
it's bigger.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. But yeah, the imperial measurements are doing my head in a bit.
Oh, we never really grew up with it, did we?
Nope. Actually, I'll show here on the motor plate.
Yes.
Needs a slight modification. So I've
Ah.
dremeled out a little chunk there.
Okay.
Like taking a bite out of the corner, which is where the old fourth bolt, or where the fourth bolt normally goes.
Right.
You can see the edge of the thread there, maybe, where I've dremeled through.
Yes.
Yep, and then a very slight. Did I do it on this one? No, I didn't. It can be a very slight dremeling there, just to make it clear the arm. But it might have been okay as it was.
Okay.
So the original ones, they did that.
Yes.
So yeah, so I replicated it on the shelf.
So that's to clear the...
That's to clear the inner camber link.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so the inner camber links are a lot further in than the standard positions.
Oh, I see. Yep. Okay.
Yeah. So the standard position would be probably the hole under the wing post, wing
Yep.
tube post,
Yep.
or even the old ones were further outboard, which had like 9 little holes here.
Yes.
But this the modified rear bulkhead that they used
Yep.
had all that part chopped off
Yep.
to allow for clearance, and they weren't using them.
Yep.
So yeah, and then they drilled a new hole far inboard, which
Right.
then is fully in the way of the motor plate without it being dremeled out.
Fair enough.
So that's a bit of a modification you need to do, assuming you want to run the full inner hold like scale.
Yep.
I haven't tried it. I haven't tried this car with any different position from the start. So yeah, so there's that one there.
Okay.
And now let's get this off. How are we going there? One more.
So you're just using a short screw in there just to hold gearboxes together.
Yes, so I undid that one, which I didn't need to at the moment.
Yep.
So yeah, it's just got the 3 long screws to hold it to the motor plate.
Yep.
With the little standoffs.
Yep. So those standoffs originals or are they printed?
Those ones are actually originals.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
But you
I do the
supply
printed
printed
ones,
ones. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the kit comes with the printed ones.
Okay. So we've got the motor plate here with the motor still attached.
Yep.
So that's quite easy.
That's probably got a metric 2.5 mils, which is out of reach. So
Right.
that can stay there.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. It doesn't need to move, does it?
No.
No. Okay.
Not for this.
So do you want me to brush it down with a...
Whoa.
Have you got a big brush
Yeah, you
or
want to
something?
brush it? Where's the brush? Here we go.
Got the hairy stick? Stick with hair on it. Yeah, that's it.
Cool.
Right, so let's do a bit of a brush here, brush there.
Oh. Yeah!
Sorry.
Almost made another hole in the bench.
No, that's right.
Hopefully
That is
Aaron,
alright.
hopefully Aaron doesn't watch this. It's his motor.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. He's got plenty.
Yeah. Hey Aaron, I need a new motor.
Alright, so let's give it a bit more
Cool.
brush.
So yeah, so under these the long standard 1-inch bolts, I put a
Yes.
little washer in there, which may or may not be needed. So when you guys build it, if the bolt sticks out too far past the motor plate,
Ah,
you need to
just to
make
make sure it's flush.
it doesn't scratch on the inside of the slipper plates.
right, okay.
So you can put a little washer or spacer there if need be.
Yep.
And I also recommend shimming the top lay shaft towards the right hand side of the car, again so that it moves. I deliberately made the spacing a little bit extra,
Right.
so you can shim it towards the right,
Oh, okay.
like
yes.
outwards. And what that does, so yeah, shim it further out that way.
Yep.
And what that does is then move the slipper plates further away from the motor again,
Right, okay.
which is a good thing because I got a World's Riri car which had massive scratches all over the plates and the motor plate and everything because tolerance was too close.
Ooh.
Cool. Okay.
Alright, so that's all brushed down.
Yep. Here it is. About to come apart.
Oh, we're about to...
Yep. Don't know when the last time somebody
Oh, there you go.
YouTubed disassembly of a sort of stealth gearbox, but
Yep.
this is pretty cool. So yeah, so you can see here I've got a few
Oh, yep.
shims there.
Yes.
So yeah, 3/16 shims,
Okay.
probably, I don't know what they are,
Alright,
0.020.
so push it towards the slipper.
Yeah, so I've got 3 of those in this one. Obviously
Yep.
it depends on each person's sort of build, but should be
Yep.
pretty consistent.
Okay.
And that, yeah, moves that top lay shaft out.
Yes.
All the sort of standard bearings.
Yep.
And then, I won't pull that one out.
Yeah, because that's got the split pin in it, right?
Yeah, it's got the split
Okay.
pin.
So it doesn't have to come yet. I'll leave that in there.
Yeah, might try and get that out later. But,
Yep.
needs big pliers usually. Get it out halfway and then you need the
Ah, yes.
big chunky pliers for the rest.
Yes.
So I've got the
Okay, there's a diff.
stealth diff.
Yep.
And a little idler. So you probably see that I often sort of mention or talk about with the gearbox that the original idler
Yep.
has the shaft built into it.
Yep.
And the bearing goes into the casing.
Yes.
Whereas the
Re-rees. Yep.
the world's re car that Associated did, it's flipped around. So the bearings
Yep.
actually seat into each side of the idler gear,
Mm-hmm.
and then the shaft goes through them, obviously, but then the shaft inserts
Seats
into the casing
Yep,
directly.
okay.
Yep. Yeah, so I do these gearbox casings in both variants,
Okay.
so that if people have or don't have a stealth gearbox,
Mm-hmm.
they might have a re-run.
Re-run.
A re gearbox.
Yep.
That need the other type. So I make that as an option when you buy the kit.
Okay.
And you can get these cases separate, of course, anyway as well.
Yep. Okay.
So yeah, so it just provides both options there.
Yep.
Cool.
The famous 3-gear gearbox.
Yeah.
And most gearboxes are like this now, aren't they?
Yes. Yep. Even like the B6.2 I was pulling apart the other day.
Yep.
That is almost identical. Just slightly different shapes and sizes of the things, but you've got the same design. I assume other brands are pretty much the same or similar as well.
Mm. Yeah, cool. Okay.
Yeah, so this looks pretty good.
Yep. So what do you use to lubricate your gears?
Oh, good question. What did I put on this? I think I used silicone spray.
Okay. Yep.
If anybody has better ideas.
Well, it looks pretty
Please
clean
tell us.
inside, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, it's not too bad, is it? Because the bottom's open, but that's obviously sealed up by the chassis.
Yes.
When it's all installed. And there's not much gap on the outside, but like the little plates. These are actually, I print these as separate plates, and they like clip into a
they're an
ridge.
insert.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that way I can print these gearboxes flat on the bed.
Yes, okay.
And that's the only bit that protrudes otherwise. So
Yep.
I did that just for that purpose, so I could print them nice and flat, so you get perfect tolerances as much as possible on all of the bearing slots and the openings.
Okay.
And the bolt holes. The B6.2 I'm actually going to probably print on a 45-degree angle due to its massive protrusions to hold the bearings in different spots, because the top lay shaft is a lot wider.
Okay.
The bearing sticks out both sides a lot further.
Okay.
So yeah, they might have to change, but yeah, this one, that's the way I did that.
Cool.
Yeah. Cool.
Alright. So you're happy with that? We're just going to put it back together?
That looks pretty
Or
good.
you're going to change
Do we
something?
want to keep ripping apart, or?
Oh, I can, yeah.
Well,
a bit
actually,
of time.
I'll show you. Might not assemble the whole thing, but let's show you the process for the new gearbox casings.
Okay. So these are still sort of proto, are they?
No, they're the final.
production? Okay, yep.
But in the kit,
So you get them like this?
you get them like this.
Okay.
So
they've got a bit of wing material left on them?
yeah, so they
Right.
have a bream from printing. So
Yep.
it's the equivalent of injection molded sprues, I guess
Yes.
you could say.
Yes.
Where you're cutting parts off a sprue.
Yep.
The 3D printing equivalent is the brim. So I do it like that. So it's just one layer,
Yep.
like very 0.2 of a mil.
Yep.
One layer of the material, which as it prints gives it more grip onto the print bed.
Mm-hmm.
Because this nylon material tends to shrink when it cools.
Right.
Yeah. So as it shrinks as you're printing it,
Yep.
each layer shrinks
Yes.
after it's been laid.
Yep.
And so it tries to shrink, and the way
Pull.
it can shrink is to try and pull inwards. And it can't
Yep.
really pull inwards because it's kind of stuck to the bed.
Mm-hmm.
So it can't go down because the bed's in the way.
Mm-hmm.
So it can only go up. So
Right.
it tries to rip itself off the bed.
Ah.
As soon as it does that, the print's ruined.
Okay.
So you can't afford that to happen.
So it's got all the
Yeah,
wings
so
there.
that-
Keep it stickaged.
Yeah, so that's got extra stickageness.
Yep.
And doesn't have extra layers, because the more and more layers, there's more and more shrinkage. So it gets, all the layers are trying to pull. And,
Yes, okay.
And as a collective of layers, they
Yep.
have a lot of pulling strength.
Right.
But one layer doesn't
Yep.
have the pulling strength, but it keeps it gripped.
Okay.
So yeah, so I do that. So let's
Well, I guess everything has its characteristics, right? Even injection molding, the material shrinks as well. So there's a consideration that needs to go into the cutting of molds.
yeah, which sort of design it perfectly in CAD,
Yes.
and it all fits and looks nice.
And then you have to bend it to make sure
And then,
that it
you
bends right.
print it or molded and it doesn't work. Yeah, so with these guys,
Yes.
You have to just cut them off. So you can tear it off, but I recommend definitely don't try and tear it off, because it can
Yep.
peel back the first or the outside layer as
Right,
well.
okay.
Yes, so
it's easy enough to trim. with
yeah,
your
so you can
knife.
trim. So you can actually bend it a bit,
Yep.
and sometimes
So
when you
you're
bend it-
bending it away from rather than peeling it.
so yeah, so bending it back over the part itself.
Yep.
And you can see there.
Over here.
Oh,
There we go. So that's the
good?
wing sections on the back there, and you're pushing it this way.
Yeah, so try
Yeah.
and push it back over the part itself
Yep.
a little bit, and it kind of
Yep.
cracks it away in some spots.
Yep.
And then from there, I'll try not to cut myself on camera. Use
Oh, it's
the-
easy enough to just trim off, isn't it?
Yeah, because it's very thin.
Yep.
Yeah, 0.2 of a mil.
Yep.
And you can always clean it up a bit with sandpaper later.
Yes.
So I
Okay.
use those. I use those cool. What are the green sanding sticks? Are they the 9-step ones?
Oh
or-
yeah, the nice step. Yeah,
little
the
foam
spongy
with
ones.
Sponged foam, and
Yes.
then the 2 layers of green sand.
Yep.
Yeah, I use those.
Does it clean it up at the end?
Yeah, just
Yep.
to sort of give it a nice smooth
Yep.
edge. Yeah, so that they work awesome for this sort of stuff.
I guess it's really handy because they've got a couple of different grits on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I usually use the one that's, I think it's 240 and 400.
Yep.
And yeah, the 240 is good for initially.
Yep.
And then the 400
Sort of like the finishing.
finishes off.
Yep.
Makes it nice.
Okay. That's not hard at all.
Yeah, so then once you get the technique
Yep.
going, you can sort of
So you're using the
slide
edge
it.
of the gearbox as a guide, right?
Yeah, so I'm
you-
actually pressing quite sort of, not super hard, but firmly towards the gearbox.
Yep.
And the blade, resting on it.
Yes.
And then you get as close as possible cut. And
Yes.
sort of at a 45-degree angle, so not flat to the side of the gearbox
Yes.
or flat that way.
Yep.
It's sort of 45 degrees and
Yep.
just kind of take the edge off.
Yep.
It doesn't matter too much if you chop a bit out or if you miss a bit.
Yep.
You can always just clean it up later.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's a bit of fun for preparing these parts. So this gearbox casing and the front bulkhead are the same material.
Okay.
It's nylon, glass fibre infused nylon, and I print them in a similar fashion, so flat on the bed in a certain direction,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have to cut this brim off.
Yep.
Cool.
So that's the only component that's got this.
Yeah, just this in
Okay.
in the front bulkhead. Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, the polycarbonate's similar. It does shrink a bit.
Yeah.
Most of those parts, though, I can either get away without a brim
Yep.
because they're small parts or they're very thin.
Mm-hmm.
Like the rear plate, for example. The rear plate's just printed flat
Yep.
and doesn't have enough layers to start pulling itself off the bed, so I can print those with no brim.
Okay.
A lot of other parts like the body post and all
Yes.
the suspension arms
Yes.
and the rear bulkhead,
Yep.
I print them at a combination of a 45-degree angle,
Mm-hmm.
and that gives it more layer surface area for adhesion.
Yep.
So it balances the strength. I guess it increases the surface layer
Yep.
area.
So rather than having the layers like this, you've got them across here, which has got a large surface across.
Yeah,
Is that what you
so
mean?
like
Yep.
especially with the suspension arm,
Yes.
if you just print it flat,
Yep.
the inside bits where they go around the hinge pin will have a very tiny bit of material on the
Right.
inside of the hinge pin
Yes.
as it loops around,
Yep.
and that'll just break straight away pretty much,
Right. Okay.
especially with a decent hit.
Right.
But I print them like basically lay them back on a 45-degree angle,
Mhm.
like as if it was the caster, the
Right.
kicker,
Yep.
and that way it gets a cross section of the layers across those holes,
Right.
not directly flat to them.
Yes.
Yeah, and that way,
Okay.
yeah, it works awesome. It's like super strong.
Well,
And those
there's been a lot of
arms-
thought put into that.
Yeah, so that took a bit of playing around and testing.
Yeah.
And those arms are the first ones I actually printed in this material. So prior
Right.
to this, I was printing it with the nylon,
Yep.
and they weren't strong enough. They started to crack at their layer,
Right.
like the layer adhesion wasn't good enough.
Yep.
And then the first time I got the polycarbonate and printed the same arms but in that material,
Mm-hmm.
this is them.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so that was the first print, and they've been on the car ever since. And we'll check out the wear on them soon. But they haven't broken, which has been pretty amazing, which is cool. So it makes it
No,
a
definitely
nice viable
tough.
product for people
Yes.
as well. Because I've had some good crashes. Yeah.
Okay. Okay,
Cool.
so that's the same.
Yep, so that should be the exact same
Same as
part.
that. Was that?
Yep.
Is that a 2 that you've written on this one?
That's a 20.
That's a 20. Is
Yeah.
that the 20th one?
That was the 20th one.
Oh, wow.
Original prototype, yeah.
Okay.
I think 19 and 20 was pretty much the last before I started productionizing them.
Right. Okay.
And yeah, I think 19 was the slightly different hole position. Actually 19 might have been the re version, and then 20 was the final original version for the original Stealth idler.
That's cool.
Yeah. And that was obviously the one that was in my car the
Yes.
whole time.
Oh, I see what you're talking about here, where you got the little ridge here where the
Yeah.
standoff comes and presses into place.
Yeah, little sort of dust cover, I guess you could call it.
Yep.
Outdrive ring.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, it was really interesting. It was kind of like accidental. Actually, I'll move this over a bit over here. It was almost accidental. Like I was trying to work out how to secure it. I was just going to glue it.
Yep.
And a couple of drops of super glue, which you can still do. And I'd like to say it's pure skill, but it was probably more luck with the CAD shapes and the design.
Oh, so these are just pressed in?
And it just pressed in, yeah.
Oh, really?
It stays there.
Oh.
They're sort of held in by the inner suspension mounts to some extent down the bottom.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's got a bit of resistance on the bottom. Okay.
Yeah, and otherwise they just sort of clip in and the friction fit.
Oh,
yeah.
well, that's good.
So work well.
That's worked out.
Yeah, there's the other one. So yeah, you just get that rim material which you chuck away, of course.
Yep. Okay. All right. So you got
Cool.
two freshies here.
Here we go. Yep. Freshy.
All right.
Should I try and get this out? This is going to be embarrassing.
What do you need? I've got some other.
Have you got some big chunky pliers?
Oh, some way.
Wait,
Let me go find them.
Let's see how I go. So that's,
You're probably
that's halfway.
yeah.
But then
you're
the
probably
second
well
bit.
practiced now, yeah.
Yeah, done that a few times. This second bit is where you need the big pliers. Oh, there we go. Look at
I
that.
was just looking at the screen, so you saw you jolt.
That'll be good.
Oh, good on you. All right. You managed to do
good
that.
footage there.
Yeah, cool.
Cool. So
Yeah,
that's,
good.
That's the pin. Yeah,
Okay.
sometimes you need the big pliers to get that out. but
Yep. Okay, so they just.
Got that? So that was good.
All right, so that's going to drop
Cool.
out.
So that can come out. What
Yep.
have I got in there? Have I got? No, there's no shims on that side. It looks like
Okay.
still in the camera shot.
Yes.
Cool. Okay.
Okay, so you had no shims this side, but you had the shims on the other
Yeah,
side.
3 on the other side.
Yep. Okay. So you're just going to pop out the bearings now.
Yep. And pop out these bearings, and I would normally clean them and.
Do you need to do
Re-oil
any
them?
other preparation on these gearboxes?
Yes. Oh well, no, I do. So I pre-drill the holes before I put them in the kit.
Right.
They're very close on the printing, but I usually make the printed holes fractionally undersized,
Okay.
so that way you can drill them out and it gets a nice sort of round, perfect hole.
Yes.
So I make all these undersized, and then I drill them with the, I think it's like 3/32 drill bit, which just
Imperial.
which means that these 440 bolts will just sort of press through.
Oh, okay, yep.
A bit of resistance, but not,
Okay.
not too much play.
Yep.
So I found that's the best way. And then this the little fourth bolt that is just a short bolt.
Yes.
In this version that holds the cases together.
Yes.
So I don't drill out this side.
Yeah, because it
that
needs a
thread
thread.
goes into it, of course. Yep.
Yep.
I just drill out the other side so
Okay.
it can slide through
Yep. Okay.
nicely. So let's
Oh, look, that's serious.
bring out the weapon,
All right.
and let's grab my little.
They come for you.
Hopefully not. Can they find us down here?
Oh, I hope so.
Okay, I think this one. I don't know. I think this is a 3/32.
Looks about right.
Yeah, it's the one down from a 1/8.
One down from 1/8. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what is it, like a 2.6 mil or something?
Yeah. Actually, yeah, I think 2.7, 2.6, 2.7.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it'd be about that.
Okay.
Cool.
All right, so you're going to do a bit of drillage.
Yeah. So on this side, so that's the back.
Yep.
So it's the left hand side
Yes.
in the car.
Okay, so that's where the screws are going to be.
Yeah, we're going to go
pushed
through.
Yep.
So we can drill all these out. So
Yep.
you can see there, it almost pushes through some of them.
Yep.
So it's
So it'll
almost
still be
there.
nice and snug, right? So
Yeah.
it'll be snug, but it'll slide.
Yeah, I might have actually drilled this one out. I can't remember. Oh, actually, I did. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So this was ready to go in the kit.
Okay.
Yep. And then this one, be very careful and not drill out that hole.
Yep.
So I put my
So
thumb
it's
over
the 3 that are going to be screwed up with
that. Yeah, go right through to the
mount.
motor plate. Yep.
Yep.
And then this one is a little short bolt to hold it together. So
Yep.
we leave that one as it is.
Yep. Okay.
So I put my thumb there, and these are probably already drilled out. But yeah, I'll just drill these out with
Yep.
I'll say it's a 3/32.
Yep.
So
okay.
yeah, so that's it, and then they're ready to go. Other than cleaning
Oh,
up
that's
the
it?
edges. Yep.
Okay.
Don't have any sandpaper here, but you could clean up the edges, but it's probably pretty good. You might
Sandpaper?
just- Yeah, you got one of those funky
Oh, probably. You
green
never know.
box.
We like 240 to 400.
Whoa,
I've got one
perfect.
here that I prepared earlier.
Whoa, perfect. It's like psychic abilities.
One of those suckers.
Nice. Nice. Yep. So I can just
Okay, it's just as simple as that. Just taking all the edges off.
Yep, make it nice and pretty.
Yep.
Don't have to, but makes it nice.
Yep.
Especially if some of the scalpel work hasn't got a brim material off, then it's can be a few bits hanging off.
Okay.
But yeah, try and get most of it off.
So 240 and then finish it off with 400 is good enough?
Yep.
Yep.
And
Okay.
If you use clean fingers, you'd probably not get dirt all over it straight away, but doesn't matter.
Okay.
Yeah, now the bits just cleaned up as desired, of course.
Yep. You definitely used these before, haven't you?
Yeah, my favourite. And actually, no, there is more. So what I also do,
Yep.
maybe not so much for these, but with a flat bit of sandpaper on the table.
Yep, on a totally flat surface.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sand the faces.
Yep.
Because they're the two faces that are going to go together.
Yep.
And that's the top surface of after the print's finished.
Yep.
So that tends to be a little bit like you get little jags, jagged edges of sort of the print material left over.
Yep.
So it's not perfectly smooth. So I always sand that two faces.
So what would
flat.
you do that? Would you clean that off with like a 240 as well?
Probably finer.
Finer. Okay.
You could start with 240. Yeah, it doesn't need much, just a little bit.
Yep.
But yeah, probably around 400.
Just to take the dags off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it's fundamentally flat.
Yep.
So it's a nice flat way it's printed.
Yes.
With the newer B6 casing, it might need a bit more sanding, but
Right.
yeah,
Okay.
these ones are pretty flat.
Okay.
And also the bottom surface as well. I do the same thing.
Right.
So
you'll screw it
that
together.
bottom surface that's going to
And
go onto
then-
the chassis.
Yep.
Yep.
And then give it a bit of a.
Back in camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can do this, I don't know, depends how you want. You could sort of have it all screwed together,
Yep.
or you could do it up front.
Yep.
Just sort of press them together and press them down.
Yep. Okay.
Oh, just fits on there.
Yep. Okay.
So yeah, that gives it a nice flat surface, so it seats nicely.
Yep. Okay.
It will probably squash down anyway, but makes
Yeah.
you feel good. So do this one a bit dodgy style
Yep.
on the.
I can see a little bit of day coming off, can't you?
Yeah,
Just
so
little
then,
bits.
you can see it's like should be quite nice and smooth now,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
of course.
I guess it's up to each individual person how super smooth they want it.
Yeah, how pedantic you want to get.
Yep.
It is probably a good idea, especially on this part.
Yep.
So it keeps it as sealed as possible.
Mhm.
And given that it's going to be doing all of the work of the drivetrain,
Yep.
do you want the grit in there?
But that's, I mean, that's already, you've done hardly any sanding, and that's already super.
Yeah,
Like
doesn't
fit.
need much. Because I mean the part's printed to where it should be.
Yep.
It's just those little extra bits as
Yep.
the nozzle lifts and moves and
Yes.
touches. You get that little tiny bit of extra plastic.
Like I can't see any gaps.
Mm.
I can't see a single gap there.
Yep. Yeah, and then obviously when it's all screwed up,
Yes.
it clamps nicely. Yeah.
It's gonna
And we
crush
saw
down.
when we pulled this apart, you've got no dust, no dirt.
Yes.
It's just a bit of the grease residue with probably the wear of the
black
gear
gears.
plastic.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Nice.
Making a tiny residue there. So
Okay.
yeah, it looks pretty good.
Yeah. Nice.
Obviously nothing's got in there too badly.
Yep.
So this is a tricky bit to get the middle idler gear out.
Because it's got
you can't
an
push it from
end
the
to
other
it.
side.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a very slight. I haven't got my screwdriver here. There's a very slight gap below it.
Right.
Trying not to
Putting something really pointy.
try not to ruin the skinny tweezers. Yeah, so there we go.
You hear the.
Yeah, it pops out. Yeah, so you just need
Ah,
to get
yes.
under the
You
back
just
of
just turn it around and ease it out.
it. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
that's probably enough.
Have you tried scaring it out?
Do you want to go?
Boo! That didn't work, did it?
Ready?
Oh! Boo! Oh!
Oh, there we go.
Scare it out.
Yeah, that worked.
That didn't take much help, did it?
Oh, where are we? Over there?
Yep. Okay, so you got to do the other side as well. I guess as long as there's that little gap there, that helps you get that.
Yeah, so
Just
in the design of the print there, I've got like a little ridge
Yes.
that sits on the outside of the bearing.
Yep.
So that's what the bearing seats onto.
Mm-hmm.
And then further in, it's lower.
Yep.
So the bearing doesn't bind on it.
Yep.
And then it also gives you that little gap.
Yep.
Which can help,
Go pop.
hopefully.
Going with the brute.
Yeah. Yeah, I normally use a little blade screwdriver to do this.
Ah, a little tiny one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which I didn't bring.
Don't like it? What about the end of a knife to start with? Is it going to help? Is it going to gouge?
Might break it. Yeah. What else have I got? What have I got? Let's try this guy.
Just need that little pointy bit, right? Just get it out.
Yeah.
What have I got around here? Oh!
Any?
Was that good?
Nah.
Oh, it wasn't.
Don't need it. Almost.
I got excited.
Any little screwdrivers?
Screwdrivers. Well, something sharp's going to be better than nothing, right?
Probably.
Alright. Might be a bit big, eh?
What we got? Ooh, might be able to make that work. Yeah, there we go.
Oh, is it?
Yep.
Oh, there you go.
Beautiful.
Bit of sharp brute force.
Yep. Get almost the right tool and then a bit of force and you're right.
Yes, that's right.
Brilliant.
Alright, here we go.
Cool.
Well, building is going to be a lot easier, isn't it? You just press them all in.
Yes.
Okay, so we've got...
Ooh, got another
There's
one
our
there.
new gearbox. Oh, no.
Let's pull this tape off.
Yep.
So we'll replace that. And pop this one out as well.
That was
Cool.
easy. Alright.
Yeah, it's easy when you get from the other side.
Yes.
Cool. So got all our bits there.
Yep.
And then, old casings.
Okay, so old casing.
Old casings can disappear.
Yep. So realistically, you don't need to replace the casings. So if the casing is all good,
No.
you just
I
clean it
probably
up and
wouldn't.
yeah. But I mean, this is a good
Yeah,
demonstration
for this
of
purpose,
yeah, what it's like building a new one.
Yep.
So trimming off the edges. Oh, there's your little.
Got those little rings.
covery things.
Yep.
Okay.
And
Do I need to do anything with these? Or just push them on?
push them on, hopefully, yeah. So what I do is...
You put these on first?
Like, yeah, try and put them on first and then... So it should sort of like just push in a bit.
Yep, and then press them down on a
press
flat
them down
surface?
flat.
Oh, okay, like this?
Yep. So some of them sort of clip in quite easily, some take a bit more force, but they
Okay.
generally squeeze in.
Oh, okay, you can hear it.
Yep, yeah. It's like quite a satisfying little click
Yeah.
when they clip in.
Okay, so they're just being pressed in.
Yep.
You can just see, you might see it there. Just around the edges there. Okay, so we've got that, both of those.
Both those got little standoffs.
Got standoffs,
So they're
yep.
the printed ones. So
Yep.
we'll put them in. These
What do I want to do with the
probably
bearings?
worth a fortune. These.
Probably are.
Imagine how much that would be like.
They're like $10 each.
$10. There, want to buy 3?
Do
Cool.
you want me to brush these
Yeah,
off?
I can probably clean the
Well,
bearings.
we'll give them a little.
Yeah, give them a
Probably,
brush down.
normally you
you'd-
probably want to clean a bit better than this, right? But
yeah, normally you'd soak them and
Yeah.
spray them and stuff, depending how far you want to go.
Well, let's just get all the loose stuff off them.
And if you want to go really, really fast, you could take off all the races, especially the ones that are inside the gearbox.
Oh,
Take off the
yeah.
races, and then you can get
I
that
think I'm over that now.
extra 0.0001 of a millisecond. Yep. Yep, there's that one as well.
Oh, yes. Those little ones are probably all good, yeah? Because they're probably being sealed fairly well.
Yeah, looks like I've killed the race on that one a bit at some point in the past. But
Oh, okay. As long as it still
that
rotates,
works.
it's good, yeah?
Yeah, that's all good.
Yeah? Feels good?
Yep. And you get all these bearings. These big ones are a bit harder to get, but all these 3/16
Pretty common, are they?
by 3/8 by
Yep.
1/8, I think. Yeah,
Okay.
so like Plague bearings. I just ordered a bunch of those from Plague.
Yep. Okay. So what do we do now? We
Cool.
just push them in?
Yeah, let's chuck them in. So it should be a good press fit. If it's not, then you can just clean up the edge a fraction.
Oh, it goes in really well.
Yeah, that goes in a bit more.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So yeah, seat's pretty much flush.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can, if you need to, just like clean up the edge. That just
Oh, I just trim a
highlights that
bit.
edge. Yeah.
Yep,
So
okay.
it has a little bit of sort of, not really overhang, but there's a little bit of material there that's a bit tight. You
Yep.
can sort of just slice that away, I guess, carefully.
Yep.
But yeah, we'll try and see if these just pop in first. Goes in pretty good. The top one's sometimes a bit tricky because you can't get your finger in there.
Oh, what if you got small fingers?
Well, then you're fine.
I'm using my small
How's
finger.
your small finger?
Might need a little bit of a helping hand with that.
With one of those.
Ah, there you go.
You've got a special tool for it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Alright, so press that in there.
Back on camera again. I keep drifting out of camera.
Is that in?
Might be. Might not be. Nah, not quite. Yeah, they go pretty much flush with the surface.
Alright, if I use this. How's that?
Oh, that sounds good.
Alright, so it's in.
Yep. And same with the middle one as well. It's not,
Oh, is that not quite in?
Yep. That needs to go flush as well. Oh, it looks painful.
How do you do this one?
I reckon you use your little finger. They came out. Can't get it off now.
No, it'll come off. No. It all comes off.
With enough force and a flat screwdriver.
That's it. Oh, there we go.
Pop
It's
it
in. Yep, it's in now.
Yep. Yeah, so they pretty much sit flush with that surface of the material.
Yep, okay.
Cool.
Right.
So then, so that's the right-hand side,
Yep,
of course, with the curve of the motor at the back.
yes. So it goes in with
The
no
shaft goes
shims.
in, no shims.
Yep, and then put
we
in the split
put
pin.
the little pin in.
Yep.
And this is always probably recommended to use a vise to do this,
A vise?
which I'm not going to use, unless you got one.
I've got a vise here.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, how about we use
If you're really careful,
the agricultural pliers method?
and
And
I'm not
actually get it
gonna
straight.
I'm not gonna watch because I'll crush my finger in there before.
Okay, I'll try not to crush my finger.
Ah, you've got it.
Yeah.
You've started already.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all good.
So you can see I don't know whether it was me or somebody else, so the end of the pin's actually chamfered a bit.
Oh,
not
someone's
chamfered,
like
but
sanded it a bit.
Yeah.
Yep. Just to get
And
it in there
that way you
first.
can get it to sit sort of there, and then you
Yep.
get the pliers onto it,
Yep.
and get that halfway in. So halfway is easy. And then you need either a bit of luck or a vise with a proper tool to squeeze it the rest of the way. So,
I always find with split pins, if you can get the other end just out a little bit, you use that as a guide
Yep.
for that back.
so if you can do it slowly,
Yeah, and then you
get-
just want to get
get it
spot on the
halfway.
center, yeah?
Yep.
Yep.
It does need to be pretty accurate, I think. Looks pretty good.
Well, it's like you've done this before.
Oh,
Okay.
I have, and it usually doesn't go that smoothly.
Well done.
So that's pretty good. Yeah, so sometimes it sort of, you put a lot of force and it doesn't move, and then suddenly it moves and
Yep.
goes all the way the other way,
Yep.
and then
okay.
you've got to keep going backwards and forwards.
Yep.
Yeah, if you've got a vise and then obviously something you can put on that side that's bigger,
Yes.
you can just wind the vise in nicely.
Yep.
So that's how it probably should be done.
Okay.
Because yeah, that bit obviously needs to sit on the slipper plate and lock it,
Yes.
or lock into, of course.
Yep.
So that does need to be reasonably accurate.
Yep.
From get that lined up. That does need to be reasonably accurate, so it doesn't sort of stick out too far one way and then not seat properly the other side,
Yeah.
which it could damage or come out eventually. I don't know.
Yep.
Cool. Okay, what have we got? So idler in,
Yes. Well, this is
and
pretty
then
straightforward, isn't it?
yeah, this is just normal stuff, of course. And then we normally put the screw on the motor pinion side,
Right. Okay.
so coming out the right hand side of the car.
Yep. Okay.
'Cause
So
that's
that's
what
back
the
together.
Associated Manual used to say.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, normally I'd probably just spray a bit of silicone spray, but I'm sure everybody has their own special grease or concoction or spray or method. I think you can just run it dry with these gearboxes.
Right.
And again, in the original manual, it might have actually said run it dry
Right.
from
Okay.
memory.
Yep.
So somebody correct me if I'm wrong there. So yeah, so, and when I designed this, I made it so that the mesh was probably just a fraction looser than the original.
Okay.
So it makes it nice and free.
Yep.
Spins well.
Nice.
Yeah. So
Okay.
then
Well, that just all
Yep.
clamps back together.
it comes back together.
Yep.
And then we put the little shorter 440 bolt.
Okay. So that holds it all together.
Yep. So yeah, so this one's actually pretty handy compared to the original design, because you can just have it held together before you kind of bolting it to everything else.
Yes. Rather than falling apart in the middle of it as you're trying to screw in all 4 screws.
Yes, that's it. And this one, if I can hopefully not go off camera,
Yep.
is you try and put it flat, push it flat onto the
Oh,
table.
okay. Flat surface. Yep.
As you
And then it
Yep.
pulls it all together.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be super tight, just so it
Yep.
nips up.
Yep.
Yeah, so just so it sits flat, but all the bolts will pull it straight pretty much.
Yep.
Okay. How are we going with making a nice mess?
That's right.
Whoa.
Just spread that black around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
spread.
There we go.
Brett likes to clean it up in the
He
morning,
does.
doesn't he? Yeah. Cool.
Let me know about it.
What's next? So we've got those little plates in. That's awesome. And then we've got the
You got those standoffs.
little standoffs. Yeah, they're not really a tight fit, same as the originals. They just
Yes.
they just sit in there.
Yep.
So they'll probably fall out now.
Want me to hold that?
Let's turn it over.
Oh, like that?
And they'll fall out. Yeah, because I probably should push the bolt through.
So you push these in.
So these bolts will kind of push through, but like drilling it out with a 1/8 would let it pull through pretty easily.
But it'll feel a bit loose,
But
right?
it'll be a bit loose, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't like the thought of that.
Well, this once you screw it in, it's going to loosen up by itself and still have that.
Exactly. 'Cause
Yeah,
you can
I
go all the
guess it's
way
like-
and then beds it out, and then
Yes.
you can keep screwing. It's kind of stripping the hole a bit, I guess you could
Yes.
say, but it's obviously not an actual
polishing
thread.
it, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
making it perfect.
Yes.
So I put those.
Yeah. Okay. So you got your screws there with that little
Yeah,
washer in
so I
there.
left the little washers on the.
So is that washer part of the original manual?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
So that's something you've added to.
Yeah, I just added that because I found even with the original cars,
They used to poke out a
the
bit.
bulkhead did stick out maybe
Right.
not much, maybe half a mil or
Yeah.
potentially a mil, especially if you do them up too tightly.
Yes.
And because these are symmetrical casings and they're designed so that these standoffs can seat into them.
Yep.
So I wanted to keep that pretty much the same.
Yep.
So rather than making more material on this side, and it also the head sort of makes the head sits pretty much flush
Yep.
with a washer.
Okay.
So it kind of worked out nicely.
Yep.
But yeah, so I sort of just left it like that, and then you can put it in the washer or space as needed.
Yep. That's all sort of worked out all right, doesn't it?
Yeah, so it goes in pretty easy. Yeah, so you can't sort of push it; you just have to kind of thread it in.
Mm-hmm.
The first time at least.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
And
Okay, so we've got
Hold
one
on
of
then.
these other
Yep. So I
standoffs.
think we haven't forgotten anything, and the
The
motor
mountage.
plate. Yep.
All right, so we've got that.
It goes back into the motor plate.
All right, so these standoffs are here. So I've got the 3 standoffs.
Yep.
And then this is just going to screw back into here, right?
Yeah.
So here and here.
Yep. Exactly. So get one started.
So do you
a
like
bit.
using Loctite on any of the metal bits?
Generally, yes. Yeah, I always do on any race car.
Yep.
Uh,
I know some people that don't like using Loctite.
yeah, I've watched a lot of like Alex Hagberg's videos, for example. He said he never uses Loctite,
Right.
but he does check his screws after every single run
Right. Okay.
and nips them all up,
Right.
which I don't.
Fair enough.
And especially if you run out of time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you can see here the screws are totally flush now.
Yeah, that's what you want to go for.
Yeah.
They can stick out maybe up to
Just
half
a little
mil
bit. Yep.
at the most, but yeah, I like to sort of make it flush
Okay.
to avoid scratching the back of your nice shiny slipper plate.
Well, there's your gearbox there, and I think. What do you? Oh, we could put the slipper on.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, so we'll put on the slipper, and we'll call that the end of this session.
Cool.
Slipper's pretty easy to put it back together.
Yeah, it's all just standard, of course.
Yep. All right, so I've got this
So,
plate.
Yep, got the plate goes in first to lock onto the pin. And then that's still in there.
Okay, so that's in.
Yep. So then we've got. I have to remember how to do this. So then you've got this guy that goes on, and that'll fall off if you don't hold it.
Yep, the pad.
A little slipper pad, and then the bearing, which I probably shouldn't have pulled out.
Which one?
The
Oh, that
bearing,
one.
Yep. So that seats it in the centre.
Okay.
And you've got these 2 washers, which I can't remember if they're the same or they've got different diameters. I think they're the same.
Okay, so that sits in a little bit because the thrust washer is sitting on that ridge, right?
Yes, yep, so one of these washers, I think they're the same. So one of those goes on next.
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
And then
your
the
little
thrusty bearing.
Yep, so you probably normally put maybe a little tiny bit of black grease. I don't know if they used to use black grease on those.
Black grease was a thing. Yeah, didn't they start that in the stealth days?
definitely in the diff, yeah, for sure.
Yep. And then we got this washer on the other end.
Yep, that goes on the outside. And then the springle.
And then the tensioning nut.
And the nut. Yeah. I think that's the...
So how do you hold on to this while you're doing this up?
Yeah, it's a bit tricky. I normally...
Do you lock it up with like a U-shaped bit of wire or something?
You can't, it's probably easier to do this once it's all in the car.
Yep.
But you get like a little bit tight, so I kind of...
So you're holding it together?
kind of hold the slipper plate. And then what else do I do? I'm not sure.
You're
Yeah, I think I
amazing.
just hold the slipper plate. And then you can just do that up a bit.
Okay.
Make it sort of almost flush.
Yep.
And then probably do the rest in the car.
Yep. Okay. Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Oh,
There's a...
chuck the spare gear on.
Oh, yeah, might as well. So 2 screws there.
Yep. It is... Got those 2 geezers. They got a little bit of Loctite on them, I can see.
Geezers, you call them?
Yeah. It's a 440 geezer. Button head geezer. So yeah, I always use the... Well, actually 2 Loctites. Use the thread lock... No, what's it called? Thread locker. So the nut, I think stud lock is the strongest, which you'll...
They got names, have they?
Yeah.
Didn't they used to use numbers?
Probably.
What about on here?
I
I just spun around so much that it's gone in the wrong
line,
holes.
Line up. Got to get in the right hole.
What am I doing wrong here? Oh, here we go.
Lined up. Yeah, so the stud lock, you'll never get it out. And then...
oh, really? It's permanent?
Pretty much. Well, you probably could, but liable to strip heads. The thread lock is the middle one, which I use. And then I think was it nut lock. And then the screw lock is the weakest one.
Screw lock?
Yeah. So I tend to use the middle one out of the Loctite brand. And then also use the our favourite Tamiya
the rubbery stuff?
anaerobic. How do you say it? What is it?
Is it anaerobic?
Anaerobic? Good old Anna.
Oh, is it?
I've got no idea.
I don't know, I just call it the rubbery one.
Yeah, the red aerobic, whatever it is.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Alright, we're back together. Alright, so there's a gearbox. New gearbox casing.
Yeah.
Okay, so hopefully you're getting a better idea of how Andy's conversion is going with the RC10GX. So that's with the gearbox done. So we'll call that the end of this particular session, and we'll get on with next bit of working on the chassis. So this is what we've got left here.
Yeah, so the main bit there will be pulling the arms off, front and rear, and then checking the play, and then replacing them.
Okay, cool. Okay. Alright, thanks for joining us for this. This is part 1 of, what do we call this? Maintaining and building
a vintage
the RC10GX. It's all of that.
Yes.
How good is it?
Yeah.
Alright. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you with the next episode.
Great, thanks.